Most people assume the only way to build real wealth is to earn more money, work harder, or grow a bigger business. You've probably heard it countless times. Get a higher salary, scale your income, and you'll get rich. But the truth the government rarely highlights is that the wealthiest people don't rely on income, they rely on debt. Not the kind that keeps you up at night or traps you in payday loans. This is strategic debt, where you use assets you already own to access cash without selling, triggering taxes, or losing control. In the UK, this approach is completely legal and accessible to most people, yet very few realize it. By borrowing against property, investments, or business assets, you can unlock funds while letting your assets continue to grow, all without handing over capital gains to HMRC. HMRC taxes income, profits, and capital gains, and when you die, your estate may face further taxation. But there's a crucial detail most people miss. HMRC doesn't tax borrowing. Mortgages, business loans, or loans secured against property or investments aren't considered income because you haven't earned them. You've simply accessed money temporarily. That's why borrowing doesn't trigger taxes. Think about your salary. Income tax and national insurance deductions take a chunk before you even see the money. But when you borrow against an asset, HMRC doesn't intervene because it isn't earnings. By borrowing instead of selling, you avoid triggering capital gains tax and can continue letting your assets compound in value. Selling an asset seems like the natural solution when you need cash, but that choice comes with a hidden cost. Selling transforms paper gains into real gains, instantly attracting capital gains tax. Once sold, the asset is gone and any potential growth ends. Borrowing flips this logic. You still get the funds you need, you don't trigger tax, and your asset continues to grow in the background. While borrowing has interest, it is often lower than the tax you would pay from selling, and in many cases, interest is a deductible expense that can reduce other taxable profits. This strategy isn't just theoretical, it's how the wealthiest operate. Elon Musk, for instance, lives off loans against shares rather than salary, only selling when it suits him. UK investors, directors, and property owners use the same approach daily. When you borrow against appreciating assets, the dynamic shifts in your favor. For example, if you borrow £100,000 against an asset and pay 5% interest annually, that's £5,000 per year. Over 4 years, £20,000 in interest might be due, but the asset itself could grow at 4 to 6% per year. Essentially, the asset can outpace the debt, making the borrowing easier to manage over time. This principle demonstrates why debt, when structured carefully, can be a tool for growth rather than a liability. The key is responsible management. Cash flow, affordability, and having buffers in place remain critical. The concept of borrow until you die may sound extreme, but it doesn't mean reckless debt or leaving chaos behind. It simply means avoiding taxable events by not selling your assets. When you die, assets are revalued in the UK, and unrealized capital gains disappear, a mechanism known as the CGT uplift at death. This allows wealth to continue growing tax efficiently, and when combined with tools like trusts, pensions, business relief, and gifting, it can be passed on efficiently to beneficiaries. Trusts control timing and tax exposure. Pensions allow growth without immediate tax. Business relief can reduce inheritance tax dramatically for qualifying companies, and gifting early or within allowances ensures tax efficiency. Ultimately, the wealthiest people aren't hoarding cash, they are strategically using debt to unlock liquidity, letting assets appreciate, and deferring taxes indefinitely. Building wealth isn't about working harder, it's about structuring smarter. By understanding how borrowing interacts with UK tax rules, you can gain access to the same strategies and make your money work for you instead of handing it over unnecessarily.